But, some, they stripped the topsoil off, they're supposed to put it aside. And then it was maybe later in the year, and so they didn't put that back, but they put, whatever they're supposed to put on top, so there's no erosion. And it sits there for the longest time, and I know there's one, person that inquired about it, to put the dirt back, like it's supposed to be, so they can seed it down and it starts to be normal. And they said, oh, but we probably won't do it for another year. Now, I know when we signed our contract, they said, in a year's time, that's all it would take to, to disrupt the farmers.
Right. Is that specifically for a pipeline? Or is there other things going on at the site?
No, I mean, the pipeline, the people that I'm talking about, the pipeline's done. It's just sitting there.
But the reclamation you're talking about is over the pipeline itself? It's not like a well pad or anything? Okay. Yeah, there are regulations that govern how quickly the site needs to be restored, or I should say stabilized. And offhand, I don't recall exactly what the time frame is, but there are, if it's been a year and the site's not stabilized, it's actually been longer than the regulations allow.
Well, it was done at the end of last year.
Did they come back in and put in another pipeline or nothing?
They put the one in, and then that where it sits, and everything is being done, to reclaim it back.
And is that a gathering line or is it a?
It's a gathering line, I think, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, without knowing the specific project, I don't know exactly what's going on, but there is a time frame when they have to get the site restored and stabilized. So if it's been a year, it's been they're beyond that time frame.
Okay. I'd like to know, because if they do that to us, I'd like to know, where
Yeah. That's one of the, I do a pipeline negotiation presentation, and one of the things we talk about is terms that you might put into an agreement, and that's one of the terms that's really important. How quickly will the site be restored? What would be planted there? All those things are things that you could put into a contract that provide added protection for yourself.
Well, being that was the pipeline's response to the landowner, might be a year. Well, then, shouldn't that landowner that have some recourse of who to go to?
Yeah, there are. I mean, certainly the local conservation district, they don't have regulatory authority over the line, but they're a good place to start. They know who to contact, and in some cases can make things happen. DEP is the primary authority, and they're required to do certain actions, but the conservation district might get a better result for you.
Because they rework some of the land where that is, where, and so, you gotta work over on that side, and then you gotta work over on this side, and, and it makes it, more difficult to try to get crops off and stuff.
Right.
With a situation like that. Okay, I'll pass that on.
Well, for you people that are here that have had experience with the pipelines, whether it be drilling or it's a pipeline, does anyone have questions? Does anyone have complaints? Because I don't know if Dave could answer them or could give anyone direction as to if there is an issue.
Sure, I'd be happy to entertain questions. I can do like a 2-hour PowerPoint on pipelines if you like.
Well,
I'm just
in our case, a lot of the things are already here. People have signed their leases, they've done it. But, like in Mickey's case, because you got 2 different pipelines, right?
And they were supposed to go in the very same spot, and they didn't know it. either didn't know that they were supposed to go to the same spot until we told them. And so the one we have signed contract for, but they were nice enough to move it because we have a lot of drainage pipes in the field.
Right.
And we didn't want them screwed up. And, you know, they were nice enough to move it, so it wouldn't interfere. That was the gathering line, that's what we signed. Constitution doesn't want to be so agreeable,
Oh, right.
so we'll have to see. We haven't signed any contracts with them, but we'll have to see what happens when they're giving us a contract.
Yeah, one of the things we've learned, and people tell us continuously, is that you really need to be, I mean, you're the primary, you're the first line of defense. I mean, nobody else can oversee what's occurring in your property more than you know. So it's really important for you to sort of get to know the person that's the one managing the operation. If you have an issue that develops, contact them early. I mean, you guys know all this stuff already, but
Yeah, I already told the guy if I have a problem, he's gonna hear it. He said, fine, he said, just call me, so we'll see. We'll be fine with it.
I have a road question. It seems like in some areas where the gas people have been working, and they haven't been doing a lot in Brooklyn yet, they have improved the roads, but does that happen after they're done? Or do they fix the road a little bit while they're running? We have a really crummy road.
yeah, either they either do it before, during, or after, or all three. Depends. Some of it's company specific. Sometimes some companies will go in and improve the road first, so they can enjoy the use of a good road during development.
And what quantity of trucks are we talking about for, let's say, 4 wells?
It depends if are they hauling water or they're piping water.
They will probably haul the water.
It's somewhere around 1,500 trucks per well. 1,500 trucks per well.
Plus the development of pads.
That's kind of roughly figuring all of that stuff. I mean, you can sort of, that's a rough number. Multiply that by four pads. I'm sorry, 4 wells.
That's a lot of trucks.
Yeah, it's actually, I had a slide. We do a monthly webinar, if you're not familiar with them. Every month it's on, generally on a Thursday, 1 to 2 p.m. We do a live webinar on a show-related topic. So you can log on to your computer at home or at the office, whatever you do. And for an hour you can learn about some topic. The last one we did was on roads. There's a center for dirt and gravel roads at Penn State, and he was a speaker, and we also had a speaker from PennDOT. And they talked about some of the current road impacts and what we've seen. The one slide that he had was he was relating the truck traffic and what that would be equivalent in car traffic. And it was pretty amazing. It was something like 1 million cars would be equivalent to that many trucks. So you take a road that would see maybe a dozen cars a day, and then over the span of about 6 months, make that a million cars, and it can have a big impact. But companies, some companies again will come in and they'll do the road work in advance, and then just maintain the road. Some companies will come in and start repairing it during their use, and then some companies will do it after they're done.
So of the people who've actually had the wells put in, is this something you have to deal with a lot of dust and noise and lights and,
We have no complaints at the farm. You know, they came in and they redid the road from right up here in town, past the farm, up to the pad. It's the best it's ever been. The township road that comes up Bishop Road, because they were using that too. They came in and did that work before they ever started. Now, I don't live here at the farm, but I live at the other farm, and I'm in Lennox Township in Susquehanna County. They're drilling two places, just a stone's throw from me. Cabot and GDS, the dirt road where they come off 11, they were in there and did work. There was,
Back at it tomorrow morning, Friday.
right, there's two places, there must be real sinkholes. And they have put rock in there and had the rollers in, and there, it still needs some more work, and I see there was a piece of equipment when I came up here tonight. But, as far as noise, yes, there is some, but not a lot. And I know when they started drilling in my son's house, well, the big white house at the farm. When I went in the house, I couldn't hear anything. Yes, if you were outside, you could hear some motors running, but, and
Worst noise
people,
you could
people
hear
wondered if it
somebody
affected our cows because of the lights up on the pad. They were fine. So, we have no complaints. They were very, very hospitable. They would come down and see if my sons were busy and ask them to go up, and they would take them on the site and explain the gauges and all that, and any questions that they had. You know, in our case, they drove 4 wells. Now, there was traffic by the house, but a lot of the traffic came up the dirt road, so that wasn't by the house.
Now, all that stuff that's still standing out there in your field, is it gonna stay, or?
Well, where the wells are. Now, the other big leveled off spot where they had the water containers, well, I've already talked with, Cabot. My sons would like to have that left there, because that would be a perfect place for us to take our big round bales of hay that we white rack, and now they put them along the edge of the field. Come springtime, they have to go into those hay fields, and the ground is soft, so they deal with mud. They'd rather be able to take those bales and put up on that nice level, hard surface. This last year, we had 2.5 big bags of silage. Where was it? It was in the pasture on dirt ground. They had to battle mud to go in there and get it and take it and put it in the feeders for the cattle. They'd like to be able to put their long bags of silage up there. But that's a DEP thing, and, you know, we don't know if we haven't gotten an answer back. But, we'd like to have that left there. Be very convenient for us.
I might be able to explain some of the road business. I mean, the road business goes to companies individual, Cabot, Chesapeake, Williams, XTL, whoever. They're finding to be a little bit proactive and work on these roads before the well goes into place. The problem with this is as Dave probably knows, is the permitting issue. The well that's designed on your place up there, the permit might not be right yet. So when a rig is coming off over here, they've gotta go someplace with it. Downtime on a rig is around $70,000 a day, lay downtime.
Can everybody hear Morgan? Morgan, just wanna make sure, he's got some good information.
Anyway, the downtime on a rig is about $70,000 a day, so where they've been working on a road to get to your property, and the permitting isn't there yet, or something's not there yet, now that rig has to go someplace. And this is when we all get in trouble. I mean, like with us, they want us to go 24 hours a day on a road to get one rebuilt. A lot of times, if the weather's right, like right now, it's not too bad, let's just move the rig in and go. The water trucks are the ones that prevent the problems, and like the gentleman said, it takes about 1,500 truckloads for one well. And normally these locations, such as Donna's, has 4 wells on it. So in order to get to that 1,500 mark, we're now at 6,000 marks. Where the school bus and the milk truck and the fuel truck have run that road. Fuel truck maybe once a week, milk truck every other day, the school bus runs it every day. Now we've gone to where we're putting 6,000 trucks on that thing in a matter of 4 weeks. And the trucks carry approximately 4,500 gallons of water. Our roads were never designed for that. State roads are far from being designed for that. Our township roads are in much better shape than the state roads are in. So when this happens, things become a little bit hectic. We go in there to kind of butcher the roads and get them so we get the trucks through.
Now, what do you have to do with roads?
And I kind of work on them for the gas companies.
Okay, so then let me ask you a question that's only applies to my property. At one point, a number of years back, PennDOT put a pipeline under the road that carries now the water from 3 hills into our pond, which is now about a foot deep, because it's all silted up. And when I contacted them about it, they said, no, that once we put a pipe, we're keeping. That's sorry, we don't care about your pond. And if you wanna dig it out, go right ahead, but we will silt it back up. So their concession was they dropped a few stones along the side of one of the roads, but that didn't really do me any good. Is there any way that when their gas company's in here doing the road, I could say, can you just put the pipe here? I mean, it goes from our pond out and
It's
then
an act
runs.
of God with DEP and everybody else, the Corps of Engineers, to change a pipe. We can replace a pipe, but to take that pipe and get down the road 20 feet with it, and eliminate this pipe,
It's their
that takes
whatever.
a lot of engineering to get that done. A lot of work.
Because the water that comes into the pond goes out again. Why didn't they just put the pipe to where it's coming out?
Well, I can't answer
Skip my
that,
pond.
so that might have been before my time, but
Yeah,
we cannot move the pipes. We can replace them, we can enlarge them in size, but we cannot move the pipes. And rock line ditches that they're putting in, and gas companies are really the pioneers on this. They're knowing that we've got to slow the water flow down, and we've got to trap the silt before it gets to where it's going. That's why you're seeing so many of the rock line ditches in place now. But the gas companies, for the best part, are helping the townships. And this is kind of twofold on my part, but tremendously. The roads that we've got left after they're done are 100 times more than what we could afford to put in. And they're very, very good about the dust control. Traffic, you're gonna have it. You know, if we want stuff that goes in our wallet here, we gotta pay for it someplace else. And traffic seems to be the major factor that we've gotta deal with. The drilling process, and that's kind of like Donna says, it's there. I live 2,300 feet from her well, and slept with the window open all the while. So it isn't too annoying. Even when they burn off, and the burn off is gonna end here in 2015, I believe, isn't it?
My comment was, this too will pass within a week or two. Yeah.
I mean, the benefits to the community, what the gas companies have done far outweigh the other things that's happened to us.
And I will say this, my brothers have worked road construction all their lives for Lane Construction on Meridian, Connecticut, and they've been from Florida to Maine. And the road work that they have seen the gas companies do is the way things should be done. My brothers have actually stopped and took some PennDOT workers to task when they seen what they were doing on a hard road over near Elk Mountain because of their experience in building roads, you know. So I just,
A
they
perfect
do try to
example
do
is
the
Bailey
best they
Road
can.
in Brooklyn Township.
And I will say this, when they did that road up there and they took up the old hardtop, they gave us some of that for our driveway down around by the barn. And they gave the rest of it to the township, which that saved taxpayer money because that was used on township roads, right, Morgan?
Correct.
Yeah.
But Bailey Road, Cabot spent $750,000 on 3/4 of a mile of road. And since they've spent that money, we've had the post wells, Lippincott wells. There's 4 locations. Who's the other one up there? Who?
Blonsky.
Blonsky's, all those locations have been fracked since they've done that road. And basically, it's been a grader on it about twice since the dust control put down. Like the gentleman said, 1,500 trucks per well. And there's 3 locations out there, it's got 4 wells on them, so all those trucks have been sitting up there on Bailey Road, and go look at it. We haven't done anything to it since they did it. They did it 2 years ago. So when they leave, it appears like things are gonna be much, much better than when they got here. And we will have our problems. We'll have our problems with traffic and one thing and another, but those problems are a temporary problem. They go away.
Now, if they put down, that they'll have 8 wells and they've only permitted for 4, when do you think they do the others? Another 10
The
years? or-
plan, no. The plan now is the place that, the big money is spent building the location. $200,000-300,000 on the location itself. That's just on a little location. And some of the locations are up as high as $1 million, $1.5 million. I've worked on where they've been out to $2 million. And that's not including the road. Well, if they've invested that kind of money in the location itself, it only makes sense. The infrastructure's in place already. I'm speaking with Cabot. Some of the others are not. But with Cabot, the infrastructure's already in place for the roads. Pipelines are in place. It only makes sense for them to bring a rig back in. And I think this is what we're hearing is gonna happen. They're gonna bring a rig like me back into Donna's and poke 8 more holes in the ground there and walk away. And by state law, and I don't know the time limit on that, these pads have to be reclaimed to within 125 feet of the wellhead, correct?
Right, and there's some, I don't know, I'm not on the regulations, there are regulations about when it needs to be restored. They can actually get an extension on the permit if they're going to come back in and develop the site. And a lot of them not up in all those.
And we've worked on some of the reclaims, and the reclaims, you know, you're never gonna see all field back to those wells, because they have to have service rates in there, and you have to draw off the water that comes with the gas. That's what the tanks are for on Donna's property up there. It takes the moisture out, the moisture has to leave before it goes into the pipeline. So we've gotta have a truck to take care of that water, and that water goes to the filtration plant, and it's squeezed, and the impurities taken out, and gone to the landfill, or gone someplace, and the water is taken back to the next frac job. And they're constantly improving everything that's going through it. I've been about the same time when that you've dealt with it, 5 or 6 years now, when they drilled the first horizontal wells right here. We worked with that. And at that time, that was a great thing, and gradually they went to the horizontals. Then they put 800-900 foot of horizontal leg in. Today they're blowing them out 11,000-12,000 feet on horizontal. So you can see the improvements in it. And the gas is, I mean, this is probably the most lucrative part of Pennsylvania for the gas. It's such a handicraft for them. So it's here. And it's very exciting to work at, believe me, it is.
I'll share with you here, a month or so ago, I was out working in my front lawn and 2 bicyclers came by. One of them was from Hot Bottom and I knew him. Anyway, they stopped, and of course they were already in the process of drilling these other 2 wells down near where I live in Lennox Township. And you know, I just said, yeah, they've been here, got water samples, because we'll probably be included in the McLean well site. And the other fella, of course I didn't know him, but I found out that he was from the Springville area. And he started growling about the gas drilling and the water issues and all. And I said, well, sir, here's how I look at it. You know, we are all human. We do have our faults, and we do fall short. I have a very strong belief in our awesome God that created this world. And natural gas must have been a part of his plan And it was a part of when he created this earth. Yes, he left us as the caretakers of everything that he had provided for us. And we are to be good stewards, and we may not always do the best job. We may not please him in some of our decisions and things we do. And he looked at me and he said, "Don't blame God for that." And I looked at him. I said, "I'm not blaming God. I'm thanking him." And I said, "I'll go one step further. Back in 1896, my grandfather and two of his brothers went to Alaska to look for gold. And my great uncle Frank had a very successful gold mine, El Dorado number 23. And I said, another gift from God in part of his creation was to have gold ore in our soil that man could benefit from. I said, "How do you like your money, sir?" He got on his bicycle and left. You can agree with me or not, but that's my belief. And all of us, I know for me, I've milked 40 cows for 40 years, 100 to 150 a day, most of those times. It'll be, we never have realized money from milking cows like we are from royalties from these gas wells. And I just feel very blessed that we moved to Brooklyn and we worked hard, we paid our taxes and our mortgage, and we still have the land. My husband passed away in 1984, and there was kind of some bets that we wouldn't be there in 5 years, me and my sons. We're still there. So I feel very blessed that we have the farm, and this has been something that I could see and realize after all these years. Any other questions? Okay, what do you folks, this was something Joe wanted, is there, now I know people have talked about it, wanting to know how to read their the checks and the breakdown and everything. And I'm thinking somewhere in my travels, they kind of felt that to have local people trying to explain that, because of everybody, there's differences in people's leases, their royalty percentage, that there are a telephone number or a place to call, maybe in Texas, that somebody is at the top to do this. I don't know if, like I said, I'm thinking that was the feedback that came back to me at one point in time when we were looking at having someone special come in to share with us. Is there any other issue that you'd like to be able to learn more about and ask questions? Because energy in depth is the ones, and Rachel, you know, I mean, we work with them, and they're the ones that go looking for the resource person to come and share with us. We can try again if that's, you know, something that you'd like to know more about, as far as being able to read the stub that comes with your check. There's a lot of figures on it. I don't understand them all. I do some of them.
Yeah, that bottom line.
Well,
But I've been to a couple of sessions on that topic, and there's
how versed are you in that?
not very much at all. I couldn't speak on it. But it's a topic that's worthwhile. If you're receiving royalties, there are some really good things that you should be aware of when getting these checks, looking at the checks. I could give you some ideas for speakers, and I'm sure Joe could as well.
Well, as far as cooperative extension, are there other
no,
resource people in the extension?
Not for that topic. It's that's one that we rely on local bankers. There's most banks in the area now have a dedicated mineral manager on staff, so they would be the person that would be, they can help you with that topic.
Just look at how fortunate we are that we live in the United States and we own our mineral rights. Look at those people over there.
Yeah, it's a big difference.
Don, back in December, we talked about possible on-site tours, bus tours.
Yes,
There
we
seemed to
did.
be a lot of interest. You know, if you get a tour that, you know, would encompass land that's being cleared for a well, clear through to the final completed stage, if that's possible in a 2 or 3 hour tour. Of course, they could always take us to lunch too, but,
Where would you start there?
well, I don't know, I'm just
No.
saying that that's something,
The
there seemed to be a
different
lot of
stages.
interest. Of course, there's been a lot of well activity since then, and a lot of us have gone right to the well sites to get, the only thing is, we weren't able to talk to somebody that really understood what the tanks were for and the whole process.
I think that tour can be arranged. I think these people can arrange that. Is that right?
We could probably arrange something, and if for some reason that we couldn't accommodate people on site, we could always bring in maybe like a drilling manager, an engineer, somebody who oversees the site, and he can talk to you in layman's terms about everything that, you know, from, just like you said, from what these tanks do to what that gadget does and on and on. So we could definitely find some way to accommodate the questions you have about on site, whether it would be a tour or something with somebody coming in.
Well, you can go back to Joe and say
Yep,
that's the
definitely.
next thing that we'd like to look at.
definitely.
As far as arranging, say, for a bus transportation, would you do that also?
It's hit and miss. I would have to go back and talk to Joe and see if he has any ideas on that.
I know, I know there's one of our local bus drivers for Mountain View, Laura Fuller.
I think they,
And Laura has the insurance she needs to be,
Yeah, I
because
think
we've
that-
hired her.
Do
what
something.
I understand about it was WXCO is the one, which is Williams. They were actually chartering a tour bus.
A tour bus.